To change the look of a number without changing its amount, we can do one of three things. We can multiply by a form of 1, divide by a form of 1, or replace something with what it means. To convert fractions to percents, we're going to do that first option. We're going to multiply by a form of 1. Remember that a form of 1 is something that is equal to 1. Now, since we want our answer to be a percent, we're going to choose the only percent that is equal to 1, and that is 100%. So our first example, we're going to do 4/5. And just as we said, we're going to multiply this by 100%. Now remember that since this is equal to 1, this is basically 4/5 times 1. In other words, the answer is still 4/5. It's just going to look different. Now, 100% is a whole number, so in order to multiply that by a fraction, I'm going to have to change it into a fraction too. So that'll be 100%, and like every other whole number, we just throw it over 1. Now, we can do a little reducing before we multiply, which always makes things easier. So 5 goes into both of these. 5 goes into itself once, and goes into 100 20 times. And so we multiply 4 times 20%. Well, 4 times 20 is 80, and the percent sign tags along. And then on bottom, we have 1 times 1 is 1. Well, 80% over 1 is just 80%. So, 4/5 is 80%. Let's take a look at another example now. Let's do 3/4. Now, as you get more used to this, you're going to realize that 100% is automatically going to get thrown over 1, which actually, since this is 1, well, 1 over 1 is 1. So we can skip straight to multiplying by 100% over 1. And now we can reduce before multiplying 4 and 100 by 4. 4 goes into itself once and into 125 times. And now we multiply. So 3 times 25% is 75%. And 1 times 1 is 1. Well, 75% over 1 is just 75%. And for our last example, let's go ahead and do 1/6. So we're going to multiply that by 100%, which we're just going to automatically throw over 1. And then I can do a little bit of reducing before multiplying. So I can reduce both of those by 2. 6 reduced by 2 is 3. 100 reduced by 2 is 50. So I have 1 times 50% is 50%. And that will be over 3 times 1, which is 3. Now remember that fractions mean division. So to finish this off, I need to do a little bit of division. The first number, or the top number, always goes in the box, so that'll be 50, and 3 goes on the outside. Now, 3 goes into 5 once. 1 times 3 is 3. And if we subtract, 5 minus 3 is 2. Now bring down that 0. And 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. And if we subtract, we get 2. Now, we don't want any repeating decimals. So, if you're going to put a decimal in, and bring a decimal up to your answer, and keep going with all your zeros, please make sure that it's not going to be a repeating decimal. Now, dividing by 3, this will end up being a repeating decimal. So I'm going to take my leftover, my remainder, and I'm going to make a fraction out of that. So 2 is my numerator, and 3 will be my denominator. So my answer is 16 2/3%. And that's how we convert fractions to percents.